My family thought excluding me from our sacred 50th reunion would make me disappear. Instead, I booked the venue next door and threw a party they'd never forget. I've become a ghost in my own family. It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow fade, a gradual turning down of the volume on my existence until I was little more than static in the background. It started when I chose to marry Mark, a man they deemed unsuitable. He's a musician, you see, not a doctor, not a lawyer, not a man with a predictable 401k and a corner office. Then I compounded my sins by leaving my sensible accounting job to start my own graphic design business. To them, I had traded stability for a flight of fancy, and they've never really forgiven me for it. The annual family reunion has always been the one sacred event of the year, a massive weekend-long affair held at a rustic lakeside resort. It's a tradition stretching back 50 years, a testament to our family's supposed unbreakable bond. I've never missed one. This year was the big one, the 50th anniversary. I'd been hearing whispers about it for months, my mom and my Aunt Carol, the self-appointed matriarchs, planning every minute detail. But as spring turned to summer, my inbox remained empty. The family group chat, usually buzzing with reunion details, was eerily silent on my phone. When I'd casually ask my mom about it, she'd get this flustered look on her face.
"Oh, we're still nailing down the dates, honey."
It's a big one, so everything has to be perfect. Her voice was a little too bright, her smile a little too tight. It was the same vague answer every time. The cold, sinking feeling in my stomach told me what my brain didn't want to accept. They weren't being forgetful. They were being deliberate. The confirmation came not with a bang, but with a clumsy text from my cousin, Jessica. A picture of a beautiful floor-length floral dress popped up on my screen, followed by, "Got my dress for the reunion! So excited for the Willows on the 15th. Is this too much?" My heart stopped. Before I could even type a reply, a second text flew in. "OMG, Sarah, wrong person. Please delete that. Aunt Carol will have my hide. Please." But the damage was done. The Willows. The 15th. It was all real. They had booked a new, exclusive venue, set a date, sent out invitations, and simply left me out. The hurt was a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. I sat there for a full hour, just staring at my phone, the initial shock giving way to a cold, simmering rage. They wanted to erase me? Fine. But if they thought I would just quietly disappear, they had severely underestimated me. A wicked little seed of an idea began to sprout in the barren soil of my anger. I opened my laptop, my fingers flying across the keyboard. I typed, "The Willows Event Venue," into the search bar. It was just as I suspected, an old, stuffy, country club-type place. But my eyes weren't on the willows. They were on the satellite view. And right next door, sharing a perfectly manicured lawn, was another venue, a place called the Glass House. It was modern, chic, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a rooftop patio. An idea, a glorious, audacious, and wonderfully petty idea, slammed into me with the force of a tidal wave. I checked their calendar. By some miracle, the 15th was available. I booked it on the spot, paying the deposit with a trembling hand and a wide, vicious grin.
My family was having a reunion.
Well, I was about to have a reunion warming party, and the guest list was going to look remarkably familiar. I just needed to send out my own invitations. The only question was, what exactly would they say? My graphic design skills, the very thing they scorned, became my weapon. I spent the next 2 days crafting the most elegant, alluring invitation I could imagine. The color scheme was deep emerald and gold, a world away from the beige and dusty rose my Aunt Carol favored. The font was a modern, clean script. At the top, in shimmering gold letters, it read, "You're invited to the first annual Family and Friends Appreciation Gala." Below that, "A special evening hosted by Sarah and Mark, celebrating the bonds that truly matter." I included details of an open bar, a gourmet tasting menu, and live music, courtesy of Mark's incredible funk band. The venue, the Glass House, was pictured in all its sparkling contemporary glory. The date and time: the 15th, starting at 6 p.m., exactly 1 hour before their official reunion dinner was scheduled to begin next door. Compiling the guest list was a painful exercise in social archaeology. I scrolled through years of family photos on Facebook, cross-referencing names with my mother's old Christmas card list I'd found in a drawer. Every major player was there, all the aunts, uncles, cousins, and those deep-rooted family friends who might as well be blood. I meticulously copied their emails and phone numbers into a spreadsheet. Each name was a little pang in my heart, a memory of a time when I belonged. But with every pang, my resolve hardened. This wasn't just about crashing their party. It was about holding up a mirror. With a deep breath and a strange sense of exhilaration, I hit send. The Evites shot out into the digital universe, little golden missiles of chaos aimed directly at the heart of my family's carefully constructed world. For a day, there was silence. I started to think maybe no one had seen it, or they'd all just dismissed it as a mistake. Then my phone began to buzz. First, a text from my younger cousin, Leo. "Whoa, a gala? Is this for real? Your place sounds way more fun, LOL. We're in." Then a few more RSVPs trickled in from the younger generation. The older relatives were a different story. Confused phone calls to Mark, tentative texts asking for clarification. "Is this part of the main reunion?" one uncle asked. "Are we supposed to go to both?" The real explosion came exactly 48 hours after the invites went out. My phone rang and the screen flashed with a name I hadn't seen in months. Aunt Carol. My stomach twisted into a knot of dread and defiance. I let it ring twice, took a steadying breath, and answered, putting on my most serenely pleasant voice. "Hi, Aunt Carol. What a surprise to hear from you." The silence on the other end was heavy, glacial. I could almost hear the gears of her fury grinding. When she finally spoke, her voice was a low, dangerous whisper, stripped of all pretense of familial warmth. "You cancel this pathetic little party of yours, Sarah. You cancel it right now. You have no idea the damage you are about to cause." I laughed. It wasn't a sound of amusement. It was a short, sharp, humorless bark that echoed in my silent apartment. "Damage, Aunt Carol? The damage was done when you and my mother decided I wasn't family enough for an invitation. The damage was done when you tried to cut me out like I never existed. My party isn't the problem. It's the symptom." "You have always been selfish," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "Thinking only of yourself, your ridiculous career, that husband of yours. This is the 50th reunion. It is about honoring a legacy you've chosen to spit on with your lifestyle. We wanted one weekend, just one, to celebrate what this family is supposed to be, without distractions. Distractions. That's what I was. That's what my life, my love, my entire being had been reduced to. A distraction from their perfect, curated image of family. A cold fury washed over me, crystallizing my resolve. "Well, you're about to have a very big distraction, then. My gala is happening. The deposit is non-refundable. I'll see you on the 15th. Or rather," I added, unable to resist twisting the knife, "I'll see who chooses to see me." I hung up before she could respond, my hand shaking with adrenaline. The fallout was immediate and brutal. A wave of cancellations hit my inbox. Uncles, aunts, older cousins, all sent curt one-line messages withdrawing their RSVPs. A text from my own mother finally arrived, a masterpiece of passive aggression. "I don't know what you think you are accomplishing with this, Sarah, but you are tearing this family apart. Your father and I are deeply, deeply disappointed. Disappointed. Not hurt that I was excluded, but disappointed that I didn't take my punishment in silence. But for every cancellation, another RSVP was defiantly confirmed. Leo, my cousin, texted, "Aunt Carol just called my mom and went ballistic. Now I'm definitely coming, bringing friends." A few other cousins from my generation followed suit, their messages laced with a rebellious glee. It was clear the battle lines had been drawn. The old guard, loyal to the matriarchs, versus the younger generation, tired of the suffocating judgment. Mark was my rock through it all, wrapping his arms around me as I cried in frustration one minute and laughed manically the next. "Let them show their true colors," he murmured, his voice a steady anchor. "We'll just have a better party." The days leading up to the 15th were a blur. I poured all my anxious energy into making the glass house look incredible. I confirmed the caterers, the band, the florist. I was a general preparing for war, my spreadsheets and timelines, my battle plans. The night before the gala, as I was triple-checking the seating chart, which was looking more like a strategic map of alliances, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, assuming it was another angry relative. But something made me look. The message was short, cryptic, and sent a shiver down my spine. "They're lying about why they cut you out. It's not about your lifestyle. Ask them about Grandpa's inheritance. Ask them what the family legacy is really worth." That text message changed everything. The simmering anger I'd been nursing turned into a white-hot, focused beam. It wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. It was about deceit. I spent the morning of the 15th not with nervous jitters, but with a cold, clear sense of purpose. When Mark and I arrived at the glass house, it was even more stunning than the pictures. The sun streamed through the huge panes of glass, illuminating the tables I'd had set with emerald linens and gold cutlery. Mark's band was setting up on the stage, a low, funky bass line already thrumming through the floor. It felt alive. It felt like me. Our guests started to arrive right at 6. Leo showed up with a group of our cousins, all dressed to the nines and buzzing with excitement. Family friends who had known me since I was a child came, giving me tight hugs and whispering, "We're so glad you did this." The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and music. Through the glass walls, we could see the guests for the other reunion trickling into the willows next door. They moved slowly in muted colors, like figures in an old, faded photograph. Some of them would glance over, their curiosity plain on their faces, drawn to the vibrant life of our party. At 7:30, just as Mark's band kicked into their first set, the glass doors to our venue slid open. My mother and Aunt Carol stood there, framed in the doorway. They looked like twin thunderclouds, their faces tight with fury. The music softened as they marched toward me, a bubble of silence forming around us. "What is the meaning of this spectacle?" Aunt Carol demanded, her voice low but carrying over the music. My mother just stood behind her, wringing her hands, her eyes darting around at all the traitors who had chosen my party. I took a sip of my champagne and met my aunt's gaze. "It's a gala," I said calmly, "a celebration of the family and friends who value honesty." I let the last word hang in the air. Aunt Carol's eyes narrowed. "You have embarrassed us. You have made a mockery of your grandfather's legacy. That was my opening. His legacy? That's what this is about, isn't it? I held up my phone, the anonymous text glowing on the screen.
Funny. I heard Grandpa's legacy was worth quite a bit of money, especially the part of his inheritance meant for the grandchildren to be distributed on the 50th anniversary.
The color drained from both their faces. My mother looked like she was about to faint. Aunt Carol sputtered, for once speechless. That's a private family matter. I pressed on, my voice clear and steady. Is it? Or is it a convenient reason to write me out of the will by writing me out of the family? Deciding I didn't fit the family values clause so you could absorb my share? A collective gasp went through the guests nearest to us. The secret was out. Just then, my cousin Jessica stepped forward, her face pale but determined. "It's true," she said, her voice shaking. "I heard them talking about it. That's why I wasn't supposed to tell you the date. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I sent that text. The fallout was biblical. It was like a dam had burst. Whispers erupted and spread through our party, then carried on the evening air over to the sad, quiet lawn of the Willows. My mother finally broke down, sobbing about financial pressures and how they thought it was for the best. But Aunt Carol, she just stood there, defeated, her carefully constructed world shattered by a single text message. They hadn't just hidden a party, they'd tried to steal my birthright under the guise of moral judgment. They turned and left, not with a bang, but with the quiet shame of being utterly exposed. I didn't watch them go. I turned back to my guests, to Mark, to the family that had chosen me. The music swelled, a joyous, defiant sound filling the beautiful glass room, and for the first time in a very long time I wasn't a ghost. I was the one hosting the party.